Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Alright, so let's improve our system a little bit. So like I mentioned earlier, we can actually find a way to set which plugin loads first and second and so on. So I'm going to grab all of this and put that in each individual plugin here and just change the name. So this one will be header, footer, just to replace the name. Oh wait, this is from the view hook. In header, footer, plugin, like that. So I'm going to copy this as well and put it there. And even in here, I will do this. But instead of header footer, this is going to be basic auth. Right? And same thing on the home thingy here. I'm going to copy from here. This one is the homepage plugin. All right, good. So we've added all this stuff, and if I refresh, this is from the controller in the home page plugin. Okay, so homepage. Where are the others though? Let me come back here. All right, here. Okay. All right. So this is the number one problem here. I guess we've seen. The last thing to be loaded is the only one remaining here, but that's not cool. So let's go back to our functions and let's see here where we're adding hooks, right? So this is where the problem, when we add an action, every plugin is adding to the same location. So that is not good. So here what we will do is put two brackets like that so that it adds to the array here. So this array, we're adding an internal array in there so that one hook can have multiple functions. And so which means here we will need a loop as well. So I'm going to do this. So for every hook, if the hook is not empty, then we loop through it and grab all the functions that are inside and actually run them. So we'll do this as key, and this is where the function should be. Yes, func. And so we're gonna grab a function here and replace this here and move this up like so. All right. So all we've done now is to ensure that we are not overriding because what was happening is that look at this basic auth, we add this function inside the view location, right? And then when it loads this second plugin, it replaces because the hook name is exactly the same. So I just wanted to add to the existing. So we use an array to do that. So if I now refresh, you see all the plugins are now working because now keep this in mind. This is very important. As you can see, all the controllers run first here and then the views run last. Even though if you look at the way this is structured, for example, let's say the basic auth is the plugin that loads first. So you would think it would run the view for the basic auth, or the controller, sorry, and then the view, but it doesn't. It will run the controller for this and then go to this one, run the controller, and go to this other plugin and run the controller. Then it goes back again and runs the view files one after another like that. And that's because inside the application itself, we always start with the controllers first. After all of those are run, then that's when we run these guys. That's why even the order of these does not really matter. Okay, so the only disadvantage we have so far is that the basic auth plugin is running first. this one second, and this one last. So as you can see, the home page is running last. So this might not be a problem, but what if I want the home page stuff to run first? I should be able to choose that. And also I should be able to choose if I just want the controller of the home page to run first, but then the view of it should run last. So all those things can be chosen. We can use what we call priority levels in order to allow what is prioritized before the other. So let's just do something a little clever with our add action function here in order to achieve that. So what I would do is on this one here, I'm going to add a third parameter here. I'm going to call it priority. Priority, like that. And I'm going to set it at a default value of 10, like that. Okay. So why do I put 10 there? Well, imagine if the priority, let's say 1 is minimum priority, but 10 is maximum. Or let's say 1 is low priority, but 10 is maximum priority, right? So the problem is if the default is 1, how do I go below 1? See, now I'll start going into negative values, which I don't want. Because there could be a time when the default is, you want something to run before everything else, so you put it below the default value. That way it's prioritized first, right? So in that case, we put a neutral number like 10. Now, this number could be anything. You could put 100 here. It doesn't matter. It means if you give something a priority of 99 or 10 or 8 or 7, since it's below 100, which is the normal, then it's going to be below the average. So we're just putting a number here to enable us to be able to put lower numbers than this. Now, I don't think we would need a scale that's bigger than 10. So here 10 is like the middle ground, 20 is like the maximum, 0 is like the lowest, but you can still use any numbers like I said. So here we're going to grab that priority and put it here instead. So we're giving these guys keys because normally before we added this, the keys were just, as we add functions, the keys were 0, 1, 2, 3, right? But now the numbers will start at 10. Now, if I don't do anything else here, then it means everything will be put in number 10, which gives us exactly, which takes us back to the problem we had previously, where only one plugin will actually run, as you can see here. So we want the priorities to be changing. So we can do that and say, let's use a while loop here. I'm going to say while, let's see, while this is empty, right? Let's do this, say empty. If it's not empty, let's do that, right? So what we're checking is, was something actually added to this priority level already? Okay. Was it added? If it was added, then just add a number to the priority, like so. Okay. Now this won't create an infinite loop because eventually as we add these numbers, we'll reach a point where actions hook and that priority key do not exist. And if they do not exist, then it will just add priority plus plus, and then we're going to add it there. Simple as that. So just by doing this, we have, for now, we haven't done anything for the priority. It's just that we've made it so that everything can still run. So if I refresh now, everything is running just fine. But let me show you what's happening in the internally in this thing. So I'm going to grab actions here, copy that, and at the end of it here, I just want to see what we have. So I'm going to do this like so. Okay, and let's refresh. So as you can see now, what's happening is that it's putting actually, you know what, let me put pre-tags over here. So let's go to this guy over here. I'm going to put some pre-tags. I think pre-tags are better for... wait a minute. Let me put that like so. They're better for when you're viewing arrays. Much better. So as you can see, this is what's happening. So I'm just going to see the last one here. So as you can see in the last array here, we have the keys start at 10, 11, and 12, which is good. 10, 11, and 12. But what if I want something to run at level 9 instead of 10 so that it's prioritized, I guess? So it runs a bit earlier than anticipated, right? So what I'm going to do is, because we're expecting an integer on priority, we can give it that. So while I go to the basic auth, so we know that basic auth comes first. Let's go here. As you can see, basic auth controller comes first, and I want it last. So what I can do is in the controller here, I can put a last param here. After the function, the priority comes here. I'll put this one at priority 20. So let's see what happens when I do that. And if I refresh, now you can see that there's key number 20 that started, and then 10, and then 11. But you see, I want these guys to run in the order of priority here, right? Because right now, if I try to run this, this is still running first, even though the priority is higher, or it's, I don't know what order these will be, but what I can do is go to where we are running these things, which is inside the do action. So before I do any running here of any of this, if this is not empty, the hook isn't empty. I'm gonna do case sort like that. So I sort these guys out before I actually run them. Okay, good. So let's come back within that hook. I'll sort them out and then run them. So if I now refresh, these are not sorted actually. So maybe this is supposed to return a result. So let's do this. Okay, so that doesn't work. Ksort changes the actual array in its state where it is here. Okay, so that's good. Oh yeah, it's ksort means key sort. So it sorts the array using the keys. So that should have worked, right? Why isn't it? Oh, okay. So it's actually working. It's just that I'm viewing these guys before the ksort. So what I'm going to do is, let me do this. Let me remove this from here. And I will put this after the sorting down here. Right? And let me actually just put this in here. Okay, goody. So if I now refresh, you will see what's happening here. There's 10, 11, and then 20. So even in here, you see the order of running has changed. We're starting with the header, the home page, and the basic auth. Even though this was prioritized earlier, now it's gone to the bottom because it's at 20, it comes last. But if you look here on the view side, it does still come first because this is just using the default values. So just like that, we can actually swap what does what. So I'm gonna do this. I'll leave that ksort over there. And there we go. So as you can see now, on the controller side, the basic auth is added last, while on the view side, it's actually added first. So also on the view side, if I want that, I can go to basic auth and say, okay, I have a priority here of, let me remove this priority here. Let's go back to the default for a second so that we have some reference. Okay, and as you can see, basic auth comes first. But what if I want, instead of manipulating basic auth, I want homepage to come first. So what I would do is go to that plugin and the controller here for home. I want to put this at maybe 8 priority. So in this case, it will come first because the others start at 10, right? So you will notice that homepage will go here once I refresh. And as you can see, homepage plugin is over there. So this is how you can control which thing runs first, regardless the order of how the plugins are loaded. So essentially what you're doing is changing the order in which the plugins are added to the system. All right, so hopefully that helps. Now, before we go, let's actually show how any of this can actually work using an actual template. So let's put a header, a middle part, and a controller. Just some basic stuff so you can see that at this point, things are just running according to how they're supposed to run. So what we're going to do is, because we have our header footer plugin, let's make sure that we can actually show a header and a footer there. And then we have the homepage, and let's see what problems we get into while we try to limit this to the homepage, and that way we can solve those problems in following videos. So what we're going to do is go to the homepage one, and let's remove the controller, because on the homepage we don't want anything to run in the controller. We just want the homepage text. And then I'm going to go to basic auth, and I'm just going to remove these guys here. Or instead of removing all of that, I'm just going to do this, delete the echo part here. Now, header and footer is interesting. So in the app here, you see there is before view and after view. So our 404 section here only tries to look at the view page. So for this to work very well, we should add our header in the before view and our footer in the after view. That way, that doesn't count as content. Then we can know when to display our 404 page. All right. So header footer plugin here, that's where we are at. So that's the plugin file right there. It's the only file in the folder here. So let me move the controller above here just for visual purposes, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter which function we start with. Okay, so in the controller for our header, let's remove that. We don't need to show anything. I just want to do before view. I'm going to use the before view. That's the before view hook. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, the hook. Okay. Now the thing is, if I were to echo directly here the what is this? The HTML, that may be a bit of a problem, but for now we're going to do it from here. Later on, we're going to see how we can include actual files to here, so that certain files we put only HTML. That will make it easier rather than having to echo everything out. But for now, let's just use echo because that's all we have. So let's imagine this is our menu here. So I'm just going to put a div around here like so. And I want to center this text like that. And then I'm going to close the div and then close the center tag as well. So there's home, and then there's about us, and then there's contact us, the usual suspects. Like that. So we imagine these are links to actual content. So this one, there's an href there, and let's do this. Okay, something like that. So if I echo that and go to my page here, you will notice that when I refresh, okay, so there's a syntax error somewhere because we forgot our semicolon at the end there. Okay, so back again, let's refresh. And there we go. So we have our home, about us, and contact us right there on top. And this is from the view hook homepage plugin. Okay, great. Let's put our footer as well. So I'm just going to grab this. The footer will be in the after view hook. So I'm just going to paste it there. So like I told you, these functions don't matter the order you add them in. What matters is at which hook you put them at. So this one is the footer. So here we're just going to say footer like so. Copyright 20 something, 23 or something, I don't know. Right, so that's our footer right there. There's an opening div but no closing div tag, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, so let's come back here and refresh. And you see, so now this is how we can add a header and a footer to the page and know exactly where to put those. So as you notice in the code itself, the footer comes first, this comes second, but here they are put in the right order because the website actually chooses when to run a very specific function. Okay, so that works just fine. And this is from the home page, right? Now, if I were to go on a different page, this is actually not the home page, this is the products page. But if I were to go to the home page, you see that nothing really changes. Everything is the same. All the plugins are running all the time on every page. And this may not be something desirable that you may want, right? So header, footer, and then if we try, let's say, and add a form somewhere. So let me duplicate this. And this one, I'll just put it in the view section here. Okay. So on this one, I will add some kind of a form. All right. So I'm going to add a form here, and I'm going to put an input. And on this one, I will say, let's put a placeholder. Let's just say email. And duplicate that. I'll put a break tag over here, another break tag over there, and then I can put a button finally and say login. Something like so. Okay, so this one is password. So if I come back here and refresh, you will see that it actually shows up in the right place, right in the middle here, not in the header, but somewhere down here. Let me also just put some styling here to make this one more robust. Let's say display. What can I do? I can say width 600 pixels. Margin auto. All right, I want it in the center of the page. Okay, it did kind of work, but the width was just too much, I guess. And we can also do text align center, just so it's in the center there. Okay, so there we go. Let me put some margins as well. I'm gonna say margin top, let's just say 50 pixels so that there's enough space over there. All right, so as you can see, things are going well here. I can also put a let's see, maybe an h4 tag and say login so that it looks more like a login page. So back here and refresh. Okay, so there we go. So you can see there's a header, there's some content, and there's a footer, and some more content over here, which is in the view page here. So as you can see, this is from the homepage plugin in the view hook, right? Same as this one. So where is that? This is view, and that's after view, and before view. Wait, that's from the... Okay, so that's from the homepage plugin. So as you can see, this part here, this is the homepage plugin. This is the header footer plugin that is displaying all of this content. So header footer plugin here, even there. This one is the homepage plugin. So this is displaying data here, but if I wanted this content to come before this part here, I would have to tell it to run this before it runs because both these things are running in the view hook. You see, this one is running in the view hook, the form, just like this one is running in the view hook as well. But I can change the order by changing the priority here if I wanted to. So I can either go to the home page view, this one here, and give it a priority I know is lower than 10 because 10 is the default. So I can give it 9 like that, and right away this should move to the top of that. So if I refresh, and there you can see they swap places. So this is how you can change what comes first and what comes last, even though they're sharing exactly the same hook. This can prove to be very handy indeed. Or if you can put, let's say, number 19 in there, and then this one will go down as well. So if I put some other content, 18, 17, they'll all come in between this part, the form, and this part down here. So this is how you can make use of this. And let's say I posted something, for example, I say login, right? If I click here, the post request is actually happening. And so you would need a controller to sort that problem out. Since we are in the header footer plugin, I could easily just duplicate this one and change the hook to the controller hook here. So which means this part will run before any of these run down here. So of course here I can try it out and do this and try to show what's inside the post request like that. So just like that, I can show what's in the post request. So let me try and refresh the page. Currently it's an empty array, but if I try, let me put some names on these guys. So if I say name is equal to email, the same thing here, I say name is equal to password because it can't post without names. So here, if I put an email and a password here, and then try to post, nothing happened actually, or because I think I needed to refresh the page. So let me try again, email, and then say password. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's not showing there at all because this is not, the method is not post. So you have to tell it that our method is post in the form here. So I almost forgot about that. You know that you are not in post mode if you see your data in the URL instead, then you know you are using a GET request. So like this, then I can do email and then say password, right? So if I click login, now you see that content over there in the controller section. So because controller comes first, that you can now put whatever you want to do to process this information in the controller before the view actually loads. So this is how the thing actually works. Instead of, this is how you separate the controllers and the view files. Now, of course, you don't need to put all this content in the plugin file. You can actually create separate files, a controller file and a view file, and then just import those files in here to keep this plugin file clean. So we will see how to do all of that in future videos. But for now, this is working just fine. And the only problem we have right now is that if you look at this homepage plugin, it runs on every single page. So it doesn't matter what I type there in the URL, this still runs on every single page, just like this other plugin. So all plugins run on every page. So in the next video, we're going to look at how to segregate that so that you tell each plugin to run where you need it only. This is going to be our routing system for the website. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.